Marcus, I want to go ahead and shoot a video. Some people have been suggesting to me that sometimes that's more effective. There's Bishop Street, and as you can see, this is my block, and we're just going to go down and look at how small this block is, and then kind of look at all the impacts. Now here's a fence. Okay, now this is all historic here, and as you note that there's a dip in the road. There's a reason for that, because the working class historic neighborhoods, I used to drop the ladies off here, y'all, with the horse carriages. The reason there's this dip in the road is for the drainage. That's why there's not drainage ditches. Now here is my tree. Originally the city wanted to come all the way up, then they said 3 feet, and clearly he's got his roots here, and now I guess there's discussion of going around. The arborist is great. I want to talk a little bit about this tree. The sidewalk's going to come all the way here. It's going to impact my roots. Both arborists agree. It's a huge tree. And then as you can see, there's another tree up here that's going to be impacted. Now you're noticing there are different sort of things, utility things by where the sidewalks plan. City of San Antonio goes around those or doesn't even consider sidewalk. Look at how much of this man's front yard they're going to take, and look at this huge oak whose roots I'm sure are at one in marriage with mine. Look how high up this is, and how I mean this thing is all the way up to, I would say, gosh, like my waist, almost at, well, I'd say well past my knees, the height of this that they're going to grate down. Can you see that height for that tree? Now, this is another historic wall, and the aesthetics of that are going to be ruined. And the city of San Antonio never would have done something like that, or there would have been a review through the Historical Preservation Commission. Now, as you note, the city, once again, we have this, and this is inappropriate for installing a silo. Remember, this is a small block. The drainage flooding comes down here. Now, note these smaller houses, what's going to happen to them, how much of their yard is going away. This is why it's inappropriate, because it's a small working class historic neighborhood. We're not to retrofit to new urbanist standards. Here's another example of one of these utility hookups. This is what, the third or probably the fourth one, I believe, in the city of San Antonio that never would. This tree is going to be impacted. Here is a fence. You can't tell me the sidewalk's not going to impact the fence, and look how small this yard is. Once again, we've got the dip in the road for historic street. What is this now, the 5th or 6th utility hookup? This, by San Antonio standards, would not be allowable. Here's a pole. Okay, now look at this neighbor, how much of her yard. Now look at the dip here. Okay, so now we're eliminating all this impervious cover, and unlike the rules of the code, we're impacting this other side, which is doubly problematic because of the dip in the road here. Look at how much of this woman's yard the city is taking, and look at the impact on this tree. You can't tell me it's not going to impact this huge oak. This is going to impact the fence. Now, I'm not going to go all the way up to the Habitat homes. I'm going to stop here to demonstrate something to you. Is look at the proximity of this ADA sidewalk that they want to install to the next house, and how the city is refusing to make the sidewalk uniform. If you're going to put this down a street where it's clearly not meant for that, why would you not? Look how close these two sidewalks are going to be, and they refuse to connect them. And the same thing is down at the end of the street where the Dixon part of the sidewalk is going to be. Neighbors tell me when the city installed this curb, that's when the flooding problem started. Elevating this road is going to make the problem worse by crashing the water down on either side. And as you've seen from the flood videos I've shown y'all, this side of the street really gets it the worst. It's a very narrow street, as you can see, and there are no street lights on this side of the street where the only sidewalk is planned to be installed. They're all on this side, and it makes it very dark at night when you're walking down this side of the street. Look at these people's yards, how much they're going to take. Look at that. Make one correction. These dips in the road, the reason why we have them is because we don't have storm drains for the water to go. So this is how they constructed the working class streets, where they didn't have the sidewalks. And if you look at the original way that these neighborhoods were planned, I'm sure in the 1800s they did not plan for this side of the street based upon all the utilities and all of these huge live oaks and historic walls to put a sidewalk. Look at all these trees in my yard. I've got 3, well, in my front yard I got what, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's one at my back door, 5. Actually a 6th one at the back door. And then I think I've got probably, I'd say, gosh, I don't know how many, 8 or 9 or 10 in the back. Way back that are huge. The city is doing a disservice to an ADA covered citizen or tourist on this small block, giving them an impression that there's going to be a 5-foot sidewalk all the way to the end. You can see the car now hitting it. That's how small my block is. They're not making that connection from the end down there to those habitat houses, nor that other connection I just showed you. Now I want to demonstrate how problematic the Bishop project is to ADA and connectability, and how the city is using various terms to create a more unsafe situation. Now yesterday's video, that demonstrated this thing right here is like a little special French drain from my block. It's actually exacerbating the flooding. If this person has the impression they can get down the street, they're going to be sorely mistaken at the end, because the habitat houses where the city worker lives, those don't have a 5-footer. This sidewalk ends up there, and note how it does not connect to Hopkins, the main thoroughfare. The person would have to run across this street or wheelchair, use a walker, and get to this side here. Now, this is a 4-foot sidewalk. I don't believe it's 5 foot. And look how poorly it's maintained. I have filed, and you can even go through the database of the application, so many times this thing is a tripping hazard. And it's all the way up and down these streets. They're cracked, they're not maintained, and there's no reason why the city did not complete this right here. They made it, they're making me some sort of like collection, I don't know what their term is, like suddenly now I'm the thoroughfare because you couldn't get the easement here, and you think that you have the right to this side. After the city just invested $100,000 to declare these houses on this side of Belvin, which are older than these houses, historic. That's the most tragic part of all, is that my house is actually older than those on this side of Bishop. Actually just sit here and watch how dangerous this is. I should have thought about that too. Okay, you can see how busy the street is. We just had one guy go up the hill. We've got this guy here. This is on a Sunday afternoon. Okay? Look how fast everybody comes down this hill. How is the person supposed to connect the street? Now, I've been out here and I've observed not one person has used either of these bus stops. Why is that the case? Because the bus stop used to be over there. And now all those people who used to use that bus stop have found other routes. And I'll even show you where the pole used to be. This is a very fast street, and you can see how high up that hill is. Man, you just missed that motorcycle going up, how fast he was going. This street is a major street. Now, the bus stop, y'all, used to be right here. And I've got video footage, screen captures that I've sent along to prove the bus stop wasn't over there. Okay, look how fast these people go on a Sunday afternoon. There's where the bus stop used to be. It's the logical place. It connects you to the major areas of town. This is Sunday. Keep in mind how quickly these people are going up that hill. And once again, there's no way for that person to make it to this area because there's no sidewalk. They have to cross that street and use this sidewalk or go down my street where they'll find no 5-foot ADA ramp. See how fast these people go? Even when I got them on camera, they're still going. And then of course you've got people coming. This is a two-way intersection, right? So there's multiple things happening now for the person who is ADA covered trying to get from that side of the street to this side of the street. And the city official maps have this as a complete sidewalk. Maybe that's why they think my street is appropriate for a sidewalk, but I can tell you by video that this street does not have a sidewalk. It does not have a sidewalk. And I've told the city that. Once again, all of the lights are on that side of the street. They're not on this side of the street. And the city council in 2013 voted on no one-sided street sidewalks. I don't care if you think you have the easement. There's a policy that's been voted on. There's probably a reason behind it, especially in a small